reporters are human beings.
Yeah.
Do you think now that the ubiquity of the coverage incentivizes reporters to the hot take? You know, you're human beings. You're going to see what gets the clicks, and maybe that shapes the extremity of what goes on there. But it's something that struck me during Donald Trump's trial is that in court, they just litigate the parameters of reality, the parameters of what happened. There are evidentiary standards, and there are things that each side has to follow. Do you think that our journalists could maybe take some lesson from that idea of litigating the parameters of our reality rather than the speculation towards what this all means?
Yeah.
Because as we see, that is what's so temporal and ephemeral and doesn't really stand the test of time, but litigating what's going to happen next or how it's supposed to happen seems like a worthy endeavor.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the problem is that people who engage in the media are asking for context, right? What does this mean? How does this compare to the past? What could happen? And I think there's a fine line between analysis and kind of prognosticating and guessing, right? You can say, you know, former President Donald Trump got shot. Republicans feel X, Y, and Z. Democrats have paused on fighting with Biden because of it. You know, Republicans feel like this is going to give them a straight shot to November, right? That is fully things that are true at the time, and so therefore will remain true. That happened, and that's how people felt about it. I think the bigger problem is like a lot of people using the word journalist who are not journalists. A lot of people who are saying they're reporters are not that. And so you're having folks that are, you know, like sharing full opinions and on, you know, whether it's cable news, on podcasts, in their own articles, in op-eds, like the American people aren't really, they have so much going on, right? That they're not going to spend a lot of time to go Google if Joe Bob is an actual reporter at a news organization, or if Joe Bob used to work for the Democratic Party at one point and now he's a consultant, right? They're not going to do that.
But there are news organizations of great reputation that I just read those headlines from. That's not from like Jimmy's blog.
Yeah.
That's the New York Times, the Atlantic, Politico. Like, these are reputable organizations.
I think that people should have, given what we've seen in the last 4 weeks where everything changed, a greater respect for the idea that fate could intervene at any times. And maybe that would prevent them from making whatever's happening now a projection for the future. I mean, for example, when Lyndon Johnson pulled out of the race, accolades everywhere. He was able, 3 days later, North Vietnam said they would come to the bargaining table. It was his happiest day of his life. People on the streets were cheering for him. And then the next day, as the plane was ready to go to Hawaii to bring people to start the negotiations, Martin Luther King was killed. And then the riots happened in the streets. And then 2 months later, Bobby Kennedy was killed.
Oh, my goodness. That all happened within those.
That's what I'm saying. So that should give you a sense that fate can intervene. Things can change at any moment. And maybe even what you're feeling at the moment. Vance is a great choice. They're heading toward you don't have to say where we're going for the future. We should have more understanding that we don't know the future. And the future keeps backing us up every single time, as we've seen in this last 4 weeks. Who could have predicted the events of the last 4 weeks? So I think they should feel able, and now Eugene knows this better than I am. I'm not a journalist. I know 50 years from now, if I come back, I'll tell you exactly what it was going to be and how it ended. But they can't know that at the time.
Doris, did you